Hi, this is Kevin Sharp, and this is Kevin Sharp Outdoor Philosophy video, a philosophy of use video. Today we're going to be talking about knives and philosophies of use for these knives. There's a lot of videos out there on the internet and YouTube that depict knives as the ultimate tool to do everything with. They're a very handy tool, but too many people use them as multi-tools, and that's not what they're designed to do. For instance, a folding blade knife is designed to cut and to do some very light prying. I've seen too many videos where guys take these knives and they expect them to pry a car door off with, or bust through a car window with. And the best philosophy is use the right tool for the right job. And what I mean by that is if you're going to have to pry a door open, use the right tool, a pry bar. If you have to bust open a window or something, use a hammer or a screwdriver or something like a chisel or something like that. Anything with a point will do the job. But my knife, and I'm speaking about if you are in a Omega event, I want to hold this because this is going to be very handy to me as time goes on. You may be in a situation of survival. This tool is only as good as if it works. I mean, if you go and you try to pry a car door open, or try to pry something real heavy open with this, or try to bust open something, you're going to end up breaking the knife itself. You're going to end up breaking the liner. This is a liner lock. You're going to end up bending the knife and making it inoperable, and you're not going to be able to use it later on down the road when you may need it again. So to me, I want to protect this as best I can, and by all means, if it's an emergency and this is all you got, then use it. I mean, you may be responsible for saving another human being's life, but I want to make sure that this is my last option. If I have other options available to me, such as the other tools that I showed you, then I'm going to use it. And a folding blade knife is really, that's what it's for. It's for cutting and really light prying. It's to keep in your pocket. This is not as, a lot of people want to make these out to be just, strong, really strong blades. These can do everything, and they're not that way at all. A fixed blade knife such as this, its primary functions for cutting, and maybe some medium prying. This blade is a lot more stouter and a lot more sturdier, I guess I should say, than some of these folding blade knives, because it's a fixed blade knife with a full tang on it. Now, there are fixed blade knives that don't have full tangs, and those I wouldn't recommend for prying at all, because they tend to break right at the handle. And same with this. This knife has its limits too. People act on YouTube and the internet as if these knives have no limits to them, and that's not the way it is at all. These knives do have limits, and you will bend the blade, you will mess up the edge, the tip, you will break them. And I just say, use the right tool for the right job. I've always been told that. Philosophy of use, I think I went over that with these folding blade knives, but let me hit it again if I hadn't. They're for light cutting, cutting and light prying. I prefer, with my folding blades, I prefer a locking mechanism. I do not like, even though I do use them, your traditional folding knife that has no locking capacity to it. And I'll show you why. I used to own a knife just like this one. It was a little bit bigger than this one. This one was a gift to me from my dad. And what I don't like about it was I was working with it, and as I was in a tight place with it, and when I was trying to withdraw the knife, it came down, and of course I had the knife like this. I was holding it like this, and when I come back, it hit, the back of this blade hit, and it came forward, and it cut my hand. So ever since then, even though I like this blade, and I do still have some uses for it, maybe some carving, stuff like that, I don't generally carry these anymore the way I used to. Just for that fact that I just don't feel they're safe. They're too easy to fold up on your hands. So I prefer a locking blade knife such as this. This is a frame lock, but as you can see, it ain't going to come forward and hit my fingers if I'm using it. Another thing about this particular knife that I like is the thumb studs and the belt clip. As you can see, it's very easy to manipulate, very easy to open. And for, like I said, cutting and light prying, these do the job very well. And that's what they are. That's the philosophy of use for them. Other philosophies of use for these knives, survival knives, of course. You use them for survival. Cutting stuff. If you have to carve something out. If you hear some noise in the background, that's my family. I am a family man, and they do from time to time make some noise. And I love them, so they're going to be on here whether you like it or not. But these that you can carve with them. There's if you have to, you can dispatch game with them. Even though I don't, you hope that a gun will take care of that. But it's skin a game animal out, to eat with, stuff like that. But folding knives are always great to have as a backup. You can use them a tactical blade as well. This is one of my tactical folding knives. Again, here's another one. These are assisted opening blades. And believe it or not, I really don't care for assisted opening blades, and I'll show you why. I got this as a gift as well from my mother-in-law, and it was an assisted opening blade. Don't work no more. It failed. The spring failed in it. It's still, believe it or not, I still like the blade itself, and I use it as a backup blade, as a backup knife to some of the other ones that I use. But the spring failed in it, and that's why I have issues with this particular knife, kind of knife, the assisted opening. Even though I do like the locking, it is a lock blade. There are some other knives that I really don't care for usage. Tactically wise speaking, I want that knife. The reason I like the assisted openings is for tactical reasons. If you're having issues with the hand, and one of your hands is inoperable, you can always flip it open. That's another philosophy of use. For a utility knife, I prefer these types of knives. I don't particularly know what the locking mechanism is called on these, but this is a buck knife, and I still prefer the locking blade just for safety reasons. For a utility pocket carry, everyday carry knife, I prefer knives like these and this. Like I said, there's so many different philosophies of use for each knife. Going over to fixed blade knives. Philosophy of use, say survival blade, absolutely. This little blade right here would be really good for processing game, stuff like that. It's good to have on your hip. Now, would I carry this for an everyday carry? Me personally, no, I wouldn't. And I tell you why. It's because I want to be able to conceal my pocket knives. I don't want people to know necessarily that I got them. So having this hanging off your hip would not necessarily fill that role. Now, of course, with a survival knife, you want it to be able to process wood, which that's what this is. This is a Perang, a Gerber Perang. For me, it does a pretty good job. You can process wood with this. Now, would I recommend this for chopping? No, I wouldn't. I've seen a lot of people on the internet using these to chop with, chopping big, 3-4 inch round trees down, and they break them. And they're sitting there wondering why. Well, why is that? Well, this is designed to clear limbs. You could process wood with it by batoning, stuff like that. Chopping is a job for this. It's an axe. Now, If you're out there and this is all you got, then this is just all you got. But I really do recommend that if you're going into a situation of survival, or you're going into the woods to camp and stuff like that, take an axe along with you. Take the right tool for the right job. But survival-wise, yes, this is my survival, pretty much my survival knife. This one and this one along with it, because I can process wood with this, even though it's a little bit harder because it's smaller than this one. And this is in my survival pack. This knife I use it more in a tactical role because it's a big, intimidating knife. Now, even then, I would use it in a way that I'm not going to come at somebody, with this knife unless I absolutely had to, because you really do hope that you got a firearm in the tactical world. But I use this for my tactical knife. I might use, like I said, yet again, a tactical folding knife. And there's different philosophies of use for all of this stuff. Survival, like I said, survival, tactical, everyday carry. It's all different. But there are some knives that I will not use. A knife like this, I really don't have much use for because it doesn't have a point to it. Now you can cut with it, but I guess if I just absolutely had to have a knife, this would work. These hawk bills, I really don't have much use for these, to be honest with you. I forgot where I got this one. I think maybe my dad gave it to me. Not for sure, but I've never really had much of a use for it. It just doesn't work for me. So these Tops blades I would not work with. Utility knives, just like I said, knives to work with. Like again, I said use that. And like I said, just wrapping this up, a lot of what you get out of your knives depends on your philosophy of use. And some people use these knives in the wrong way. They have the wrong philosophy of use for them. There's too many people go around that break, especially on YouTube and the internet, go around breaking these knives, and they're using them for purposes that they were not supposed to be used for. And like I said, you use the right tool for the right job. Only if it is absolutely an emergency would I use these to pry something open with or anything like that. Only if I had to. Because I don't know if you're like me, I don't feel like going out and buying a $50 knife every time I turn around because I'm breaking one because I'm using it the wrong way. Knives are made to cut with. They're primarily to cut with, and secondary just very light, very light prying. I would leave the prying up to the job of the priers, if you get my drift. But these are all my views. You might have a different take on things. You might have a different philosophy of use for these, but that's just what I'd like to share with you. Is use the right tool for the right job, and these knives will work well for you in that role. And this has been a Kevin Sharp Outdoor Philosophy. And I thank you for your time, for your patience, for your viewers and my subscribers. Thank you very much.